First in television from the capital to the coast, this is WNCT-TV, Greenville.
Wow. I mean, it's all underwater. It is completely underwater.
Never been like this. Never been this high.
With the Star River Apartments at 300 feet.
This is just such a catastrophe. I mean, like nothing we've ever seen.
I had thought by this time there wouldn't be so many houses still buried underwater.
It's more than anybody ever expected. It's not going to go away. It's not going to go away in a week or two. It's going to be here for months and maybe years.
As they say, this is the flood of the century.
If you live in North Carolina long enough, you'll eventually meet up with a hurricane. And just like people, hurricanes have their own personalities. Some are fast and full of bluster, others are slow and lumbering. Each hurricane's name brings a distinct set of memories. And with Floyd, it was water everywhere. This half hour, we'll journey back to Floyd's 1999 landfall using footage from our original Flood of the Century documentary, plus present-day interviews with those who covered it here at our station. Hurricane Floyd became a literal high-water mark for hurricane destruction in North Carolina. But Floyd didn't earn a place in history all by itself. In some ways, the stage was set weeks before Floyd ever arrived with a separate hurricane named Dennis. These two systems proved, more than ever, a basic truth about hurricanes. Damage potential is not a function of strength alone.
Dennis, I remember how it came up the first time just off the coast but gave us tons of rain. It stalled off Virginia, then it came back down. And again, all the rivers rose after Dennis to near flood stage. And then, of course, that set the stage for Floyd to really pound us with the major flooding.
Wasn't that long ago we were dealing with Dennis, who came to stay.
Boy, he did come to stay. This storm is even more scary.
Hurricane Floyd, twice the size of Florida, at one point grew to a Category 4 hurricane. As the storm bears down on North Carolina, the question is, are we ready?
Hurricane Dennis, that was just the start. Now we got Floyd coming. We boarded up this house once and took it down. Now I got to do it again.
Another hurricane headed towards the east less than 2 weeks after the departure of Dennis, September 14, 1999.
We've been here for everyone the last 6 years, and everybody's told us to definitely leave for this one because they said don't mess around with it.
Already the waves are coming perilously close to these homes. Folks aren't messing around this time. They're getting out of Dodge.
Yeah, it's time to go, I think, you know, maybe a little bit past time.
That led to what was then the largest weather-related evacuation in U.S. history.
The Neuse River is about 200 yards behind me. Already there's about 2 to 3 inches of water on the ground in this community. Despite the warnings, some of the residents say they're staying.
At this point, I have no other choice.
And why do you say that?
Because this is my home. I don't have a lot of family here in North Carolina. I'm from up north. And this is it.
For some, the decision to stay will prove deadly. September 16th. Water begins to overpower land as Floyd makes landfall as a Category 2 hurricane with winds of 105 miles per hour, producing tornadoes and flooding coastal highways.
Stay home. Do not try to venture out in this because it is very serious. Neighborhood Doppler 9 right now still showing plenty of activity over eastern North Carolina.
Inland, flooding will become the biggest threat.
But the next morning I got up to come to work and the sun was shining. It was a beautiful morning and I just thought, oh my goodness, you know, we've made it through. Little did I know that the storm was really just starting.
Before daybreak, September 17th, the sound of help on its way. Unable to hold back, swollen rivers betray their banks and those who live miles away. Brown water holds thousands captive.
The Tar River, the Neuse River, Cape Fear, Lower Roanoke, all should see major floods, many of them seeing the highest flood waters ever in history.
We're landing helicopters out here on the highway. We're pulling people off rooftops, you know. We're landing in cornfields. We're taking as many as we can at a time, and we're dropping them off here and going back out and getting more.
Most escape with only the clothes on their backs. Others refuse to leave despite rising waters. And for those who try to make it out on their own, the full measure of Floyd's fury begins to rise and rise. A growing sea consumes hundreds of roads.
My daughter was here visiting, and she wanted to go back to Florida. And I could not find an exit to eastern North Carolina. I mean, there simply wasn't on any of the roads passable at that point. So we were simply an island for days.
At least 40,000 cars and trucks, no match for murky waters.
There's a car down there flooded right now, and they don't know whether the people were in it and got out safe or whether they were washed away.
52 people will die in North Carolina before Floyd is finished. Some of them part of a family swept away from their boat in Pine Tops.
A mother, father, a daughter, her child, and I think 2 more small children. You know, the boat capsized with that amount of people on it. And the current was so rough in here that, you know, I don't see how any of them got out, but some of them did.
This is a small community. I think most everybody here probably knew Ben and his family, and we're all touched by it. And our prayers are with them, and it's something that in a small community like this, everybody knows everybody.
They found my brother this morning at 10 o'clock, but they still ain't found their little girl, but they had started searching. There ain't nothing they can do anymore.
Too much to handle. Hard times fall on eastern North Carolina as Hurricane Floyd moves out to sea.
Eastern North Carolina averages 46 inches of rain a year. So we've had 30 inches in 2 weeks.
Plywood and prayer, the only hope for Tabernacle Free Will Baptist Church in Kinston.
Church members, as well as many volunteers, have been working relentlessly since Friday morning at about 5 a.m.
Regardless of whether we have service in this building, our people will be with us, and they'll be here. If it's filling sandbags, they'll be praying and filling sandbags.
Still, the water invades. The church is lost. Water everywhere.
Princeville have been there ever since slavery.
The Edgecombe County town of Princeville, the oldest town incorporated by African Americans, is wiped out. History obliterates history.
This is the town hall right here. It was built in the 1800s. This is the center of the city. Everybody comes here for meetings, for get-togethers, but now there's nothing.
Highway 258 is now washed out. Water as far as you can see.
It just takes the life from you. It's just like you're standing here, but you done died with it. But it's been devastated, really. Even for the kids, even my grandchildren ask me, said, "Ma, can we go home?"
Homes and businesses across the east drenched, destroyed.
The building right here with green is an old merchandise store called W. Clark & Sons. It's now a Royster Fertilizer Company. Had 5 feet of water in it.
How fast did the water come up?
8 hours from the time it started rising down at that end of town. We've never had damage like this. I've never seen anything like this in my life. We've got friends that are not accounted for yet. Doesn't mean that they're gone, but they're just not accounted for. We've been through 7 hurricanes here, but this looks the worst damage that I've ever seen from all of them. We'll stay and we'll rebuild. Tarboro will be back together. It's just going to take a tremendous amount of time, patience, and efforts to put it back together.
everybody seems to be doing fair, but it's bad on everybody. It's bad. Bill, we're on kind of high land right now, but don't know how long.
And the shelter where many of them are staying is beginning to flood.
Water's coming into the parking lot and starting to circle the church. Good.
Creeks and raging riverbeds swallow communities.
A lot of people have lost homes, things that they can't replace, but at least they're alive. This is just total devastation.
We had people going south as far as you could go. At that point, nobody could get out unless you had a helicopter.
A sad situation as we're traveling from west to east along the Tar River. A devastating situation. The flood of the century.
Widespread flooding best seen from above in Eagle 9. Familiar sights submerged.
This is Big Greenville Airport along Memorial Drive, giving us a much better look here.
Aviation is a love of mine, but to be asked to be in that helicopter, being a part of Eagle 9 as it was branded in that storm, being able to be that eye from above to show what was going on, to report it because of being a meteorologist and knowing the crossroads, knowing the landmarks.
As we're looking at Highway 13, as you can see, totally underwater coming into the Snow Hill area. Highway 13 completely underwater. Incredible.
Really appreciated that opportunity that was given to me to be an integral part of the aerial team to bring back those pictures, those stories, and most importantly, the very important information to keep us moving forward.
We're looking at the Greenville substation, the power plant. A very dangerous situation for the Greenville Utilities Commission as they attempt to keep Greenville with power.
This is our engineering complex. It's built a foot above the 100-year floodplain. So that tells you how much water we've had here. I was told yesterday we have a fleet of probably 180 or 200 vehicles, and we've lost 75.
On September 20th in Tarboro, the Tar River stopped rising at more than 41 feet. A day later in Greenville, the Tar crested at 29.5 feet, well above flood stage.
Most rivers in eastern North Carolina continue to go down. We just got the latest update from all the rivers. The only one that is not crested yet is the Neuse River in Kinston.
As they go down, flood relief picks up. Finally, hope for the hurting. Offers of help pour in.
Seeing it on TV is one thing, but when you go out there and you actually talk to the people and you see how they're hurting, I mean, you have to open up whatever you have to give.
A simple request started one relief effort.
They did the exact right thing with Brian. They put him in front of Sam's. And we said, Brian, we just want you to get as much stuff in this 18-wheeler back as you can. 2 days later, they had to remove that one because it was full, and they brought another one that he filled.
And we were spending the whole time, at the site, at the Sam's Club, and that part of it means a lot.
And people were so generous, the ones that had it to give. They were coming up with cash, they were coming up with items.
When I was going through Hurricane Floyd and working at Channel 9, I lived at the TV station for over a week. I had no power, no water at my home, and so a lot of us lived there.
It required of this entire building the best they had, and they delivered. I remember for 7 days straight, we were on the air, taking maybe an hour and a half, 2-hour break. The work that they put in, I don't know how they did it.
We had employees that were impacted by the flooding here in Greenville who lost everything, but they still came to work. We had the community, and I probably can't talk about all of that, but it's still very emotional for me.
Yes, I mean, I can remember walking down the hallway between the newsroom and the studio, and there were just tables lined up with food for us that people had brought to the station, knowing that we were there nonstop. Yeah, it was touching. To this day, I mean, right now, I feel that emotion.
And I know you miss your family, and we're behind you 100%.
Thank you very much. And Emily, you've been a real help to me. I appreciate you.
Thanks.
And I'm honored that people often remember this when I broke down on the set because of the reality and the gravity and the fatigue that we were all facing. I make no apologies for some tears, because the bottom line is it shows how much we all care about one another. And that's really what, again, it's all about, taking care of one another and serving each other.
Eastern North Carolina underwater. Rescues from rising rivers. Shelters from Floyd's floods and incredible devastation. Isolation and togetherness. A reflection of what a killer hurricane leaves behind.
As they say, this is the flood of the century.
Over those 9 days in September 1999, there was over $3 billion in damage. 7,000 homes destroyed, 1,500 people rescued from the floodwaters, 52 people lost their lives.
Because I just thank the Lord that I'm still alive and stuff, you know, and that we didn't lose our lives like some people did.
Agricultural losses exceeded $1 billion. An estimated 2 million chickens, 753,000 turkeys, and 21,500 hogs died.
Those hogs that are still alive are hanging on to life on this little hill of higher ground.
But we saw in all that tragedy and in all that loss, we saw so much beauty in it because of the strongness of Eastern North Carolina, the people of Eastern North Carolina, how strong they are, how much they come together, how much they look after each other.
Disasters like this bring out the best in people. And if you can help somebody else, you help yourself far more.
Even as people lost everything they had, they still kept their faith. They still looked out for each other.
Tell people to come out and help.
And I think that was an eye-opening moment for me as a journalist. Hey, don't give up hope. And there's people out there that really care.
To be able then to reflect on the overall trends of how it changed our lives, how we adjusted moving forward, I would say that the biggest takeaway for me is to be able to say the number of people that to this day, this many years later, come up to me and say, I remember when.
That's Dockside right there. You can definitely see the water is flowing rapidly through the town of Trenton.